Welcome, welcome. We are back in the HawgBeat Hoops postgame show after Arkansas struggled to beat Stanford in a double overtime game. Kind of exciting there down the stretch. Um, Razorbacks held on to win 77-74. Was not the prettiest matchup. Was not the prettiest game from either team. No, I'm not going to say the defense was so great. Not even going to say the defense was bad for either team, but neither team shot the ball well at all.
No, and I mean, just in general, talking about this game, coming off an ugly loss at UNCG, right, just a few days ago, you kind of were thinking Arkansas might come out with their hair on fire in this game. At least they needed to, right? And I mean, to start this game, it was not that, not even close, really. The exact opposite. I mean, Arkansas, I believe, scored only 22 points and had 8 turnovers in the first half against a Stanford defense that coming into this game ranked 299th in the country in terms of opponent points per game. So it did get, a little bit better, at least just in terms of the overall competitiveness of the game. I believe Arkansas was down at the most 9 points in the second half. Cut that down, obviously, went to overtime and then double overtime. We'll talk about that at some point today. Like you said, a wild game. Arkansas did not play its best, not even close offensively. Definitely just try to find a way to win type of game. Defense did step up at times, wasn't perfect. Definitely going forward, you play a really good Memphis team tomorrow now. If you're Arkansas, if you want to make it to the championship and win it, you're going to have to find a way to play much, much better offensively going forward.
And there is a cool talking point here with Chandler Lawson coming from Memphis to Arkansas now gets to play Memphis. Arkansas hasn't played Memphis since I think like 2002, 2003. It's been a long time. And that was a rivalry dating back to the Nolan Richardson era and really was kind of an annual thing for a long time that kind of faded away. So I'm sure there's a pocket of fans that are excited for this matchup in general, just kind of reignite that rivalry. But you're completely right in the fact that Arkansas has to play a lot better if they have any chance at winning tomorrow. I mean, no disrespect to Stanford, but they're not the strongest Power 5 program or high major program, however you want to label it. You look at KenPom statistics. You look at the 6 high major conferences on KenPom or in college basketball. And Stanford came into the night ranked 55th out of high major opponents. I mean, they were farther down the chart than that in general on KenPom, but out of high major schools, they were 55th. It's not like they were some really good high major opponent that Arkansas had a good struggle win against. They're an average high major opponent at best. And Arkansas could not score the ball again. And I'll stay on my soapbox. I mean, this might just be my thing this entire season. Shot selection again was abysmal. I don't understand why Arkansas is taking contested mid-range jumpers 2, 3, 5 seconds into the shot clock, or even somewhat open-ish, but kind of also still contested 3-point jumpers, like barely into the shot clock, like first pass in or even 0 passes in. No ball movement, and you're taking the first shot that you get. I don't know. I was not impressed with shot selection yet again. I said the same thing against UNC Greensboro. I said the same thing against Old Dominion. But it is what it is. If we're going to talk about things that Arkansas did do well, though, it finally rebounded the ball. It's the first game in a stretch of 3 games. Arkansas was out rebounded by Old Dominion and UNC Greensboro. And then finally today against Stanford, Arkansas out rebounded Stanford.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty wild, right? Out rebounded them, I believe, 52-46. Yeah, in total, 52-46. Finally got the rebounding advantage in a game. And I mean, whenever you look at the box score, a few players, or really 2 in particular, had big time outings against the Cardinal. I look at Trevin Brazil, who had a career high 17 rebounds. I mean, that's big time right there. You don't really expect. You do expect him to get a lot of rebounds, but not that many. And then Chandler Lawson, who we've kind of been looking at as a guy to sneak up and take some minutes there. He started a few games to start the season, kind of took a back seat to Mekhi Mitchell. He came out and had a huge game. You actually talked about him a little bit ago with that Memphis connection. He transferred from Memphis during the offseason. He had 13 rebounds. I mean, that changes this Arkansas team completely whenever he's doing stuff like that. And on top of that, he had 9 points and 5 blocks. He had 5 blocks. That is crazy interior defense for a guy that's 6'8", super lengthy, obviously. That they nicknamed him, I believe, the Claw. And, you can see it in his stat line. Definitely a big outing from him. And, like you said, Stanford, not a great team. I believe prior to this game, they were 3-1 with their lone loss coming to Santa Clara. So, not a powerhouse program by any means. They do have some good talented players on their team. I look at a guy like I'm gonna mess up their names for sure. I think it's Maxime Reynaud. They're 7-1 post, really, really good. I don't think he had a fantastic game today. And then Spencer Jones, who before this game was averaging, I think, like 7.5 points. He went off, had 20 plus, made some threes, struggled from the free throw line, which really hurt Stanford down the stretch, and helped Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas shot, I believe it was like 79% from the free throw stripe. That was big time. I've been talking about that, looking at that, like, Arkansas struggled in a couple games early in the season from the charity stripe. Finally came up big in this game, and it probably won them the game in the end.
Free throws definitely benefited Arkansas. I mean, that was really the difference in the game once you got into overtime. I don't think Arkansas really had all that many field goals in overtime. I think it was mainly free throws. But if you look at the game as a whole, Arkansas shot 33 free throws, or 26-33 for just under 79%, like you said, 78.8%. And surprisingly enough, the biggest, I guess, detriment from the free throw line tonight was Devo Davis. He was 3 of 6. Chandler Lawson was 1 of 2. But outside of that, I mean, Caleb Battle was 4 of 4. Trevin Brazil was 6 of 6, and Tremont Mark was 12 of 15.
Yeah, Tremont Mark, that dude has ice in his veins towards the end of the game. We kind of saw it in the Purdue exhibition. He hit some clutch shots. He hit that 3 to tie it up at the very end of regulation to send it to overtime. And then in this game, you need a go-to scorer down the stretch of the game, a dude that has experience, that can make those big-time shots. Tremont Mark, I think Musselman has talked about, his ability to rise over defenders and hit big-time jumpers. He did that from the mid-range game. And yeah, he got to the rim. He was fouled a lot, made a lot of free throws. I mean, he was just super clutch. And I mean, going forward, you're going to need a guy like that, especially when Devo, you mentioned it, he wasn't perfect by any stretch today. He had some head scratching plays. Devo, he's kind of a roller coaster player like that. But he did have a big, big time play at the end of, man, it's so hard to keep track. Maybe it was end of regulation. He stole the ball. And then took it down. I think he got fouled, hit some free throws. So, yeah, I mean, just some big-time clutch performances from a guy like Tremont Mark. Devo made some big-time plays down the end of the game. But, I mean, something I kind of want to talk about, something that's really stood out to me, especially when you have so many talented guards on this team, and against a Stanford team that hasn't played great defense to begin the year, 9 of 26 on layups.
I was
around
just
the rim.
about to bring that up.
Yeah,
Oh,
Arkansas really, really struggled around the rim. That is not going to cut it going forward, Jackson.
No. So here's the deal. If you get to the rim, you're expected to do one of two things: finish at the rim, or draw a foul and go to the free throw line. Arkansas did go to the free throw line a lot. They shot 33 free throws tonight, but it was also in 2 overtimes. But still, 33 free throws, that's a lot of free throws with or without overtime. I think I can't remember the exact number in regulation, but the number is still high in regulation too. 9 of 26 on layups is borderline inexcusable, especially when you look at this roster of guards with the experience, with the amount of minutes they've played in college basketball, the level that they've played in college basketball, including, I mean, Devo Davis has been here for however many years now. L. Ellis played at Louisville. He's a high major guard last season. Tremont Mark played for Houston. They made a deep run in the NCAA tournament. And Caleb Battle, and then you can add anyone else you want on top of there. But look, you go 9 of 26 from layups. I mean, that's pretty poor, and I don't know how many games you're going to win this season shooting like that. Look, when I say that Stanford's not a great opponent, I don't mean disrespect to Stanford, but they're just not a great opponent. Arkansas shoots even barely below the college average at layups. They shoot like barely below the 60% mark on layups. It's not even a contest. And I think that's why part of me is so disappointed in the performance. It's not just the fact that, like, oh, the shot selection was bad, defense still had some lapses, or oh, this, that, or the other. It's like, layups don't require a ton of skill. It's a lot of mental fortitude to make layups. It's a lot of focus, because you're right there. Even if you're being contested, even if there's a defender there, whatever the case may be, it's a lot of mentality. So I'm just really interested to see how that plays out and all that sort of stuff moving forward. But this game shouldn't have been as close as it was, mainly because of the layup situation. 9 of 26. Arkansas goes, 12 of 26. That's an extra 10 points. Or an extra 6 points.
Yeah. Here's a fun stat from Hog Stats on Twitter. Arkansas is now 3-1 in games it shot 30.5% or worse under Musselman. And with that same mark, 30.5% or worse, for all other coaches in UA history, Arkansas is 0-11 since 1990 or 1981 to 1982. So kind of a weird stat line. Arkansas is 3-1 under Musselman, but has never won a game shooting that bad under any other coach. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm not sure what conclusion to draw from that. Maybe just because Arkansas plays really good defense under Eric Musselman, that kind of offsets that. Speaking a little bit about defense, we touched on it a bit earlier. Arkansas was, maybe to begin this game, they came out pretty good on defense. That's kind of what kept them in it, just because their offense was so bad. But still not perfect. Transition defense is still kind of lacking. Jackson, just, I know you wanted to talk about the defense specifically. What are you kind of seeing there? Why is Arkansas struggling so much on the defensive side of the ball right now?
Yeah, so, I mean, for the most part, they played better defense tonight than they did against UNC Greensboro. UNC Greensboro was a terrible defensive performance. They were getting beat off the dribble. They were giving up backdoor cuts. They weren't communicating a lot on how to defend ball screen actions or even off-ball screens, all that sort of stuff. Tonight was a lot better. They forced 19 turnovers, I think. Even off those 19 turnovers, they scored. I'm trying to figure out. They scored 12 points off turnovers, forced 19 turnovers. So, I mean, that's a good stat. They held Stanford to not shooting all that great. They were 30% from three, 40% from the field, and Stanford didn't convert from the free throw line as well as they could have. But even with all those stats, there's still some things to work on. There were still some backdoor cuts they gave up. There's still some just straight line drives that Arkansas gave up on the perimeter. There's still some open looks that Stanford missed on the perimeter that Arkansas needs to clean up. And look, as much as there is to critique about this performance, I think this performance in particular is mainly about the offense. I think the defense is better in the first half. It kind of slipped a little bit in the second half, and there's still some things to work on defensively for sure. But I think mainly the offense, which has been the strength of this team so far this season. I think the offense is the biggest question mark from tonight's game. Defensively, strong in the first half, still some stuff to work on in the second half. Did some good things, were able to force some turnovers.
Yep, I completely agree. Looks like we have our fearless leader here, publisher of HawgBeat.com, Mason Choate. Mason, do you want to give us some initial reactions after that game?
Yeah. So, I mean, like that was, when I was typing up like my final score tweet, it was kind of just like all I kept coming to was, Arkansas somehow won that game. And so that, I mean, like, good for Arkansas for winning a game like that. You have the delayed arrival. Yeah, I was wondering going into this game, like, how much does the delayed arrival affect Arkansas? Because you knew that Eric Musselman was going to be ticked off about it. So I didn't know how much that was going to, like, make Arkansas want to play a little bit harder. I don't know, but man, they're gonna be tired. It was in the post game press conference. Like I got on at the perfect time because when I got on the post game press conference, Eric Musselman was like sitting there waiting for everybody, just like ready to go. Like Trevin Brazil and Tremont Mark hadn't even gotten there yet, and Eric and Muss was just sitting there. And then the reporters start to file in a little bit, and Musselman's like, "Come on, let's go. We got prep to do." And Muss sat there for less than 3.5 minutes, answered a couple questions, and then he's like, "Can I go now?" And he leaves, and then it was just Brazil and Mark left, and they answered a few questions, and that was it. And guys, this has nothing to do with the game, but I kind of feel bad for the two Arkansas reporters who spent they didn't their trips were not fully paid for by their companies, and they spent some of their money to go down to the Bahamas to try to get a little bit extra coverage. Like, because when you're paying to go cover the team, like out of pocket, you're hoping maybe you can get a little bit of extra coverage because you put in the effort to get there. And they got like 2 minutes with Trevin Brazil after the game. And so I kind of feel bad for them. I get it from Arkansas's perspective. It's a late night. You got to get up tomorrow, get ready, get prepped. You got Memphis. Like I completely understand Eric Musselman's point of view. So that's kind of what they're in now. It's just prep quick for Memphis, throw Stanford out the window, and do that. But like it was a fun game at least. Like there were times, and Jackson, I saw you quote tweeted some people. There were times throughout the game where it was not a fun game. It was like
I wouldn't call it a fun game.
It became a fun game. You quote tweeted a reporter that said like something about the game being like it's a basketball game.
It was a basketball game. It was
a basketball game on TV. But it ended up becoming at least like an interesting game, right? Like if you're an Arkansas fan, it kind of hurt most of the time, but
interesting. Yes, I can give it interesting because it was close, but fun. I wouldn't call it fun. Neither team played well. Neither team was hitting any shots, and it's not like it's a really good defensive struggle. It's like an open layup, miss. They're missing free throws. It's another wide open shot miss. They're giving up offensive rebounds. It was just bad basketball all around.
Okay. Here's why it might have been a little bit more fun for me than maybe yourself, Jackson. And I don't know whose audio. I think it might be yours, Jackson. It's just like Riley. Has his audio been messing up the whole time?
No, I mean it sounded fine to me.
Okay, then never mind. Scratch that. So hypothetically, maybe I was in the room with another person and there were flash bets going on. Maybe it's like, Stanford to hit the next basket at plus money, and then Stanford hits the basket. That's kind of fun, right? Hypothetically, if that were to happen, that's a little bit of fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the hypothetical
live bets, it'd be a lot more fun than sitting here trying to watch the game and sit here trying to take any gleam of objective reporting from it. Like, what am I supposed to say, man? Arkansas did a good job of hitting their free throws after shooting 30% from the field to win a game they should have won by more than 3.
Okay, but here's another thing though. Hypothetically, if you were to at some point during that game take Arkansas money line at plus money, then you probably ended up having some fun there at the end of the game. Okay, so we have Ty. Ty says he didn't have fun. I'm sure a lot of Arkansas fans didn't have fun during this.
Well, there's been a lot of I'm looking at a lot of these comments. I think the first one of the night came from Hunter. He said, Jackson talked good about Arkansas challenge. Difficulty impossible. I've said good things. They shot well from the free throw line. I thought the defense was better.
We got a
Two good
couple
things.
We got a couple people calling us sunshine pumpers, though. Have you guys been pumping sunshine? I don't know if I've pumped a ton of sunshine.
No, I think the people.
Everybody knows I'm not pumping sunshine.
Yeah, we definitely have not pumped any sunshine today. I think that comment is referring to other people in the comment section. Not really sure what's going on there. For the people who maybe want to hear us talk about some good performances, Mason, we haven't really talked about Layden Blocker yet today. Maybe just some initial thoughts. It looked like he wasn't perfect, but he gave Arkansas some pretty good minutes in that game.
Yeah, Layden Blocker, Jackson's guy, and shout out to Jackson for calling it. There were a lot of people on the HawgBeat message board who didn't believe Jackson Collier, and so obviously Layden Blocker, you're not looking at him as like you need this guy to come run the point every game, like be the starting, like, hey, Layden, you're starting tomorrow. But he is he had a good game. He plays hard. And, he's fun to watch, man. He plays hard. You like those freshmen. He's not a 5-star freshman. Anthony Black, Nick Smith Jr., Jordan Walsh. But he's a guy that you can root for. And Jackson, obviously. I mean, like, you're a big Layden Blocker guy, right?
So, yeah, no, I've followed Layden pretty closely ever since, I guess it was around his junior year in high school. And I was able to scout him in person in high school. I was at his commitment ceremony at Little Rock Christian, and I was in touch enough with the team over the summer where I kept hearing really good things about Layden. The whole thing was, okay, well, Arkansas brought in all of these veteran guards. They brought in Tremont Mark. They brought in Caleb Battle. They brought in L. Ellis. They're returning Devo Davis. It's like, there are all these veteran guards on the team. Where is Layden Blocker going to fit? My whole stance was, and I put this on the Truff, the premium forum over at HawgBeat.com. I said, look, Layden Blocker is a college-ready defender, and he's a true point guard. So he will find playing time, and he will have a role this season. And we're only 5 games in, and I understand that. And he hadn't had a massive role so far. But tonight, he played 11 minutes. He scored, what was it, like 4 points? Yeah, he had 4 points tonight. And he led the team in plus minus. Played 16 minutes. He is probably, if he's not the best, he is one of the best perimeter defenders. And I'll add, so far this season, Arkansas has struggled defending the perimeter. So, if he's a freshman guard looking to try to break into the rotation a little bit more, what does he need to do? He needs to keep showing himself playing perimeter defense. He's not going to come in and be asked to score, especially not a ton. You have Caleb Battle, you have Tremont Mark, you have Devo Davis, you have Trevin Brazil even in the front court that are scoring. So Layden's not going to be asked to score, but he'll be asked to defend. And if he does that at a high level, he'll keep getting playing time. And if he keeps getting playing time, he'll be able to contribute more offensively. I think he did a fantastic job tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, coming in, you kind of expected Layden to be more of a defensive-minded guy at first. That's kind of what he was known for out of high school, I think. But yeah, I mean, 4 points. He had 3 steals, which is big. In 16 minutes, like you said, led the team in plus minus at plus 11. You're not asking Layden Blocker to come in and take over the game. You're just asking him to come in, kind of, do his own thing. If he helps contribute, he helps contribute, and he did that tonight. Guys, just to kind of, start to close things out, I have a pretty big question, and this is a question that goes around every time a team is up 3 to close a game. Arkansas didn't do it today. Do you foul a shooter, or do you foul up 3 to close a game? That's my question to you guys.
Always foul up 3. Never foul a shooter. Always foul up 3. It's smart basketball. It just is.
It is, and the dude traveled anyways. Go check out.
No, exactly. I even put that out. I was like, it was a great shot, but dude traveled before he even got it off. It should have been over. We should have had this post game should have been done 30 minutes ago. The game was over an hour ago. He walked.
I posted the video of it to my Twitter, and I don't feel like going through the motions to share my screen right now with everybody. But go check out my Twitter. It's at Choate Mason, CHOATE Mason on Twitter. I posted the video, 100% of travel. It doesn't matter. They ended up playing the second overtime. Arkansas won. And here we got this comment on the screen from Wilson Wood. This is kind of how I feel about it. Wilson Wood says, we didn't play well at all, but we just won a game shooting absolutely horrible. We did what it took to win, and we will get better for it. A lot of bad things happen, and this is kind of what I said when I first came on. It's like, with the way that you played offensively, the fact that you were really in that game, and I was sitting here watching the game with my dad because I'm down here in Conway for the weekend, and my dad, who hypothetically might have been the hypothetical person who was hypothetically placing bets on Arkansas athletics, and he kept asking me how many rebounds does Trevin Brazil have? How many rebounds does Devo Davis have? So I was kind of keeping an eye on the box score a little bit more. But what I noticed throughout the game was everything. I mean, Arkansas was just winning in every single category, but they just couldn't make shots, man. And so it's if you can just figure something out offensively, the defense is elite. It always is under Eric Musselman. And obviously defensive rebounding needs some work. But the defense did look good tonight compared to UNCG. Can we all say that? Jackson, can you kind of agree with that? The defense looked better.
Yeah, absolutely. Defense was much better today than it was against UNCG. And look, I did my whole film breakdown. We have an article up on HawgBeat.com where I go down, I broke down 10 full clips where Arkansas is getting beat off the dribble. They're getting beat off ball screen actions, off ball screen actions, off isolation in the post, all that sort of stuff. It was just utter dominance by UNCG, which there's no excuse for. Tonight, Arkansas didn't have that problem as much. They forced 19 turnovers tonight, which was huge. Played better on ball defense. Still gave up some drives. Still gave up some getting beat off the dribble, some ball screen stuff. But you're not going to be perfect on defense every game. So I thought defense as a whole was much better. There were some lapses in some crucial times, especially in overtime or in down the stretch of the second half before overtime. But as a whole, defense was much improved, and I don't really have a ton of complaints defensively from tonight. Most of my irk tonight has been offensively.
All right, last thing before we get out of here, last question. This is from the YouTube. This is from Koopa. Koopa, opinion on Ellis and Battle off the bench. How much did you guys talk? Have you guys talked about that at all? I joined late, obviously.
No, we haven't really talked about those two specifically off the bench. We talked a little bit about Ellis, didn't perform or didn't have a great day today. I think, look, whenever you can have two guys like that coming off your bench, it means you're loaded at guard, especially Battle, who's just gone crazy to begin the year. He's scoring at will. Didn't have a great game today. But having a guy, those two guys that are really experienced off the bench, it just means, you have a ton of depth, and, you want, probably ideally you want Ellis to be starting, just because of his experience. But yeah, those two guys off the bench, you're loaded. You're going to be able to win a lot of games. So.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if I should vocalize this or not, but I wasn't exactly a huge fan, basketball-wise, of the starting lineup today. I would much prefer seeing L. Ellis in the starting lineup over Jeremiah Davenport. I thought that the lineup with L. Ellis, Tremont Mark, Devo Davis, Trevin Brazil, Mekhi Mitchell, I thought that's the lineup that was making the most ground. I think that has the most balance with perimeter scoring, perimeter defense, and also interior defense, because you have Brazil, who's a shot blocker. You have Mekhi, who is kind of the stalwart who can actually play physical interior defense. Trevin Brazil has proven in a short, or I guess a small sample size, he's not a physical isolation interior defender. So you kind of need Mekhi Mitchell for that sort of situation. So, we've seen, I guess, 2 games now where Jeremiah Davenport has been inserted in the starting lineup. I don't think he's done really anything in that role. I think that's Muss kind of trying to find him a way to get involved and try to get going, because he hasn't really done anything either. I think he hit his first 3 a game or 2 ago, maybe against Old Dominion. He's a streaky guy, and he's got great length and size. But if the goal is to try to set him up to find a role, then sure. But also the goal was to come in and win games at the Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas. And I don't know. I don't even think he played that much tonight. He got the start and he played 10 minutes and was -7 tonight. He had the second lowest plus minus tonight. I don't know. I think I personally would prefer, just as objectively talking basketball, the Ellis, Davis, Mark, Brazil, Makai Mitchell lineup.
Okay. Well, maybe you can get a text message somehow between now and tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Time. Maybe you can get a message to Eric Musselman, tell him who your starting five would be. Maybe he will take it into consideration before Arkansas takes on Memphis tomorrow. Battle for Atlantis is going to be electric. First time since 2003, right? Is that right,
So
Jack?
either 2002, 2003. It's been a long time, and I'm sure Eric Musselman really cares what I have to say about the starting lineup, so I'll give him a call.
Okay. All right. It's going to be fun. We'll have the post-game show. We'll have plenty of coverage at HawgBeat.com. We're going to cut it short tonight because we got to get some work done, spend some time with our families tomorrow for Thanksgiving. So very thankful for everybody who listened tonight. Visit HawgBeat.com for all the coverage, anything you want to know about tonight's game, tomorrow's game, football on Friday, everything. We got it. HawgBeat.com. And after the basketball games, make sure you're tuned in to the YouTube or our Twitter pages because that's where we're going to be streaming these post-game shows live. So thanks to Riley. Thanks to Jackson. Thanks to all you out there listening. And we'll be chatting with you tomorrow evening about Arkansas-Memphis. That should be a fun game, Jackson. Maybe tonight wasn't fun for you. Tomorrow should be fun, right?
I guess we'll see. Depends on the performance, but just as far as the matchup goes, then it's the first time in however long in the rivalry aspect, it should be at least entertaining.
Okay. And shout out Riley McFerrin, the guy in the top left. He's been doing a good job hosting the show so far. Very proud of him. And
please go follow Riley on Twitter.
Yes, follow the guy.
Yeah, please follow me.
He's got the sources. He's got the sources. If you would see the names that are in Riley's DMs, your mind would be blown.
Dude, yeah, it really would be.
Okay. Anyways, we're going to cut it here. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody listening. It's